As someone who started looking at second citizenship as a consumer of it and became so knowledgeable and so experienced, people started asking me for my help, and hence Nomad Capitalist was created. I look at citizenship, not only your birth citizenship, but any second citizenship that you obtain in a different way than people who simply started a business and said, hey, let's sell people citizenship by investment. In that I believe no citizenship exists in a vacuum. I think you have to look at your financial life, your business, your taxes, your investments, where you're putting your money, how much freedom, what's the freedom in your life. You have to look at all those factors together, and only then can citizenship come into the equation. And I'm going to tell you a story today that has reminded me why that is so important. It's a story of how I potentially saved someone $130,000 by digging into these other elements that most people wouldn't. I'm going to tell you that story right now. Hey guys, I'm Andrew Henderson, and here at Nomad Capitalist, we help 7- and 8-figure successful entrepreneurs and investors who want to legally reduce their taxes by living and incorporating overseas. They want to protect themselves and increase their options with a second citizenship, and they want to participate in new boom markets, investing in places that are lower regulated, lower taxed, greater potential. You can learn more about what we do for folks at nomadcapitalist.com, but today I want to tell you a story. One of the things I've started talking about recently was what I believe are the fast food sellers in the citizenship business, where you drive through like a fast food restaurant and you pull up and you look at a menu, and instead of seeing hamburgers and cheeseburgers and chicken sandwiches and salads, you see a list of beaches. And this is how most people in the citizenship business operate. You pull up to their fast food menu and they show you a list of 7 different countries that offer citizenship by investment. Most of these are Caribbean countries, or Vanuatu or Malta, for example. They're all rather tropical countries for the most part. And you point to one and you pick. And they don't take into account your taxes. They don't take into account what you're trying to accomplish, other than I want a passport to travel. And particularly if you are a Westerner who has a different set of challenges than the average Chinese or Arab or Russian customer for these programs, you're probably not going to get a very overall view. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. A gentleman came to me recently. We're kindred spirits. He grew up in the United States, never liked the country, doesn't want to be an American, and now the fact that he's running a very successful business, he's paying a lot of money, that he just wants to distance himself from the country, not just from the tax man, but just doesn't want to be part of the country. He loves Asia. He's got businesses in Asia. He wants to live in Asia. And he came to me and said, I don't want to be a U.S. citizen anymore. And I've been looking at some of these citizenship by investment programs, and I chose Antigua because it's $130,000, and my wife and I can both get it. We can both give up our U.S. citizenship, and then we can move where we want. And so the first question I asked him was, well, does your wife want to give up her U.S. citizenship? I understand that you don't feel comfortable, but what does she think? And as is often the case, he said, well, she'd really rather not, but she understands if that's what we have to do, we'll do it. And so I asked him a number of questions, and we got to the point where your wife doesn't have to give up her citizenship. Now, you're probably going to have to change a few things in your financial life to make it a smooth transition, but she doesn't have to give up her citizenship. If you want to do that, you can, but she doesn't have to. And so not only did we save his wife the headache of having to give up his citizenship, and I've seen that numerous times, by the way. In many cases, both spouses do not have to renounce to accomplish their goals. And so we saved her that headache, and potentially we saved them from just deciding it wasn't for them at all, right? I mean, if she had to renounce and he had to renounce and she didn't want to, they might have just called the whole thing off and he would have been left not accomplishing any of his goals. But okay, she's going to stay. So now he said, well, I don't necessarily know if I need that citizenship. Maybe I can just get one of the less expensive ones for $100,000. So far, so good. We've saved $30,000 by doing just a little bit of tax planning. And then we're going through the process, and we're talking about his family, and we're talking about all these things, and we found out that he may be entitled, in fact, is very likely entitled, to citizenship in an Asian country. Now, I'm not going to get too specific for his benefit, but he was entitled to citizenship in an Asian country. And then we went through and talked about his lifestyle. Where does he want to live? Where does he want to travel? And it's mostly Asia. And so I looked at the quality of this travel document that he is entitled to through his family. And we realized that pretty much all the countries he wanted to go to, he can go there visa-free through this passport. It's not a great passport, and most people would not want to give up a US passport to have this other one, this Asian passport. But we realized that the one country that he needed to go to, he already had some investments in. He could get a visa, and like a long-term visa, and be able to go in and out of there. Everywhere else he could go visa-free. And so then it came down to the question of, well, do you need to pay for citizenship by investment at all if we can get you this passport? And then he said, well, okay, but what if I want to travel to Europe, for example? I said, well, I'm glad you asked, because now we're going to get into what they call the belt and suspenders, right? Where, okay, you're going to have this passport, and it's not going to give you the best visa-free, so why don't we go to Europe? And why don't we get some kind of residence permit, whether it's a golden visa, where you pay with an investment, right, and your time on the ground required is minimal, or maybe we want to go and get some kind of other residence permit where you have to pay with some kind of physical presence there, and we can do some tax planning around that to make sure you're not going to be paying a fortune there. But you're not going to have to invest anything at all. I mean, which of those would be more appealing to you? Would you rather make an investment in real estate, like through the Portugal Golden Visa, or would you rather do some kind of program and commit to spending 3 or 4 or 5 months in Europe to maintain the residence permit without making an investment? And so what we were basically able to do is go from the perspective of 2 people are renouncing U.S. citizenship, one of whom doesn't want to, paying $130,000, down to, listen, if you want to pay $100,000, fine, we saved you some money, and that'll get it done quickly. But if you're willing to have just a little bit of less certainty, or perhaps a couple more bumps in the roads by going through this ancestral citizenship process, we can save you an extra $100,000 and then just tack on a residence permit for that. And maybe that resident permit in Europe gets you future citizenship. At the very least, it gets you access to Europe for as long as you hold the residence permit. And what a lot of people don't know is, if you're the holder of many different residence permits from European countries, that can also serve as a visa to other countries that your passport may not have access to. Same thing with the U.S. visa, right? Many countries that will let U.S. visa holders in even if they don't have a visa for that particular country, like Serbia, for example, or Georgia. And so this is why I think it's so important to look at things in the big picture. Okay, $130,000, I don't care how much money you have, that's a lot of money, right? And to spend it because you went through the drive-through and they said, here are 7 countries with beaches, which one do you like? And it just comes down to a matter of, okay, well, this one seems the cheapest. I mean, imagine the difference of somebody who wants to be a U.S. citizen giving it up because they thought they had to and no one told them otherwise, because it was all about making a commission. Imagine, overpaying for that and having the emotional issues that come around with that. And then know that even if you choose to go, even if this guy chooses to go the $100,000 option, again, at least he saved money, at least he saved his wife some frustration. But knowing that, okay, we evaluated every option. I've heard from a friend or two of mine who's in the citizenship business who said that the fast food sellers, he says, you better watch out because some of them can be pretty nasty. And some of them can retaliate, and you should see how they deal with each other. They're always in, Dubai or whatever. They're always suing each other and putting out, press against each other. He says, you don't want to be roped into that. And fair enough. But I do think it's important to tell people who are looking at a second citizenship and who are thinking citizenship by investment is the best option. For many people it is. And I sometimes tell guys, listen, this is what you need to do to save money, for example. Saving money is your goal. Do this, save money. And it is the only option. But it's always worth looking at how these things work together. It's always worth considering the full picture because no citizenship exists in a vacuum. Getting a second citizenship should not exist in a vacuum either. And I really want, and the purpose of this channel, the purpose of our nearly 2,000 articles on our website, is to help you see the greater picture above just, let me get a bank account, above, let me just get a second citizenship. All these things work together to make you more free and more prosperous than almost anyone else in human history, if you look at it from the holistic perspective. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.